We are talking Alabama football after the bye week. It's LSU week, and you are locked and loaded on to the hottest show on the streets, the #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, information, and entertainment. That being in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate everybody tuning into the show on a Monday. Got a lot to dive into. The show brought to you by WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That is, WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. If you haven't done so already, be sure to copy that four-finger bling necklace, that four-finger bling jewelry, showing that support to Coach Saban and the University of Alabama in that tradition of dominating, owning the fourth quarter. You can get that four-finger bling necklace courtesy of WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. But we got a lot to get into on today. Last week was a bye week for the Crimson Tide. Coach Saban and the team got to rest, but still saw some awesome games on last week. Florida handled Georgia, and Clemson, Dabo Swinney, no more the #1 team in the country as Touchdown Jesus. That's right, Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, Brian Kelly finally got him one, beating the Tigers in double overtime last week, 47-40. So, despite the smooth performance by one DJ Uiagalelei, that's Uiagalelei, DJ Uiagalelei of Clemson, despite his performance as the true freshman, could not quite get that done there in the state of Trevor Lawrence as Notre Dame got the win there. But this is a brand new week here, LSU week, and we want to hear from you guys. Want to hear your thoughts, your questions, your viewpoints, your events, your chats, your opinions when you talk Tide football. The show, we're bringing this to you from Tuscaloosa, streaming this via YouTube. Speaking of a channel, go ahead right now, like the show up, give a like on the show, drop that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best in alerts and updates on your Crimson Tide. We're not only streaming this to you through YouTube, but also to all my Facebook people out there. Facebook land coming to you guys, Twitterverse streaming to you as well. So we got you covered here, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. It's always a joy to be here with my man, John Ivory, the man, the myth, the legend, the maestro in the production studio, laying down the ones and twos on the beat scene, behind the scenes as he does each and every time. And we got a great show prepared because later on, we're going to be joined by one of my really good friends. Met him at SEC Media Days a while back prior to COVID, of course. My man Carter Bryant, he goes by Carter the Power on Twitter, but Carter Bryant, who covers those LSU Tigers. So it's going to be fun to talk with Carter a little bit later on in the show. But 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. Do not let tonight go by without letting your voice be heard. Once again, that number, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. But we start tonight's show off with this right here. I mean, with all of the anticipation coming into the Alabama-LSU game, remembering what happened last year at Bryant-Denny. LSU played well. Joe Burrow played well. Tigers got the 46-41 win. But the main thing took place after the game, right? You had the LSU players going up to the stands trying to convince the recruits that Alabama had for 2020 to decommit or flip to LSU. And, of course, in the locker room, there was Ed Orgeron with his profanity-laced statement that was recorded by one of his players in the locker room. Of course, we all know what he said. And, of course, I mentioned on last week's show, if I was Coach Saban and the Crimson Tide, I would be having that video play on loop, not only over the bye week, but especially this week, and getting yourself prepared to go down to Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to pay Ed Orgeron and those Tigers a visit there. But despite all the anticipation, all the excitement and the build-up, there was a massive curveball thrown into the mix here. That curveball happened today during Coach O's press conference, where he talked about how the Tigers are experiencing a COVID-19 outbreak on the campus. No COVID outbreak going on the campus of Louisiana State University at this time, ahead of the matchup between the Tigers and the Crimson Tide. Now, what's crazy is, according to Ross Dellinger, who also covers LSU and a number of other beat writers for the Tigers, this is how the COVID outbreak started. So, after LSU got manhandled 48-11 against the Auburn Tigers and the gimmicky offense known as Gus Malzahn and Bo Nix at quarterback, after Auburn handed LSU the 48-11 beatdown, apparently a bunch of LSU players decided to attend a Halloween party. A bunch of LSU players decided to attend a Halloween party during the week of Halloween, of course. There was no mask, no sign of social distancing, and because of that, with the contact tracing, there's been a number of players that have contracted COVID on LSU, and a number of players that are in quarantine right now. So Coach O described it as a very fluid situation. He did not give out any names as to who has the virus or which players are in quarantine. Did not talk about that. Did not speak on the possibility of the game being postponed or not. He just said, hey, fluid situation, got guys that have COVID. LSU in a dangerous spot as it's very thin right now in terms of its quarterback position and in the secondary where the defensive backs are concerned. So COVID here situation for LSU, according to one, Ed Orgeron. Now, of course, Bama fans, you guys want to see this game being played, especially throughout the season where Alabama football is concerned. Alabama has yet to run into any roadblocks where the virus is concerned. It's gotten through 6 games. Everybody's been good. Everybody's been healthy for the most part. Everybody's been cleared for the most part. And even the one time where you thought to have a positive COVID test where Coach Saban was concerned, the week of the Georgia game, it was a false positive. The test came from an outside source. With Alabama's equipment, Saban's been negative as far as COVID, and he was able to coach in that game against the Bulldogs, got the 3 straight negative PCR tests. So for the first 6 games of the season, Alabama's been okay. Crimson Tide's been fine. No issue there with Alabama football. So for the fans out there, you definitely want to see this game played, especially once again after Alabama. You never see opponents disrespect Alabama inside Bryant-Denny. You don't see that happening too often, if at all. And after that game, you see the Tiger players go over to the stands trying to convince the 2020 Alabama recruits, Alabama football's not where it at, man. You need to come up here to LSU. Like, we got the dynasty. We got the sauce. We got the swag right here. This is the program. Y'all need to be coming to LSU, baby. We got that fire. We got that flame going right here. So, yeah, the LSU players going into the stands trying to convince the Alabama 2020 recruits to decommit and or flip. And then you have a situation with Ed Orgeron in the locker room, moments later. So you as fans want to see this game played because you guys are looking for vengeance. I mean, Alabama's trying to avenge one of the losses from this past season, but not just that. You got current players and former players who want to see this game played. I mean, Byron Young, the sophomore defensive end for the Crimson Tide, a native of Laurel, Mississippi, he chose Alabama over Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, and Clemson, among other schools. Florida also in the 2019 class. And Young had a strong freshman year, having a pretty good sophomore year right now. But Young went on Twitter right moments after Coach O made a statement about the virus. Byron Young goes on Twitter and goes, "Oh, don't run now. Oh, don't you run now." So Byron Young is already issuing a challenge here to this LSU team following the whole situation with Coach O. And then behind Byron Young, you got former players, Kenny Bell from Rayville, Louisiana, former Crimson Tide receiver. He got on Twitter and was like, "LSU, if y'all just scared, just tell us you're scared." And then here comes Will Lowry, a former walk-on defensive back turned starter for the Crimson Tide. He had his thoughts there on social media also. So you're already seeing one current player and a couple of former guys for the Crimson Tide already express their opinions, their viewpoints on what's going on with this matchup between Alabama and LSU, even after the fact that Coach O addressed the reporters today in discussing the COVID outbreak that's going on the campus of Louisiana State University. But along with that, so here's the situation. So if the game is not able to be played, and I would like to see the game played because yours truly here for TDA got credentialed for this matchup. So I do want to take myself down to Death Valley, Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge and see this game myself and covering it for Touchdown Alabama magazine for you, the fans out there. But if the game is not played, if the game just so happens to be postponed or canceled to a later date, here's the scenario we could be looking at. So LSU already has to play Florida on December 12th. The game was scheduled for earlier in the season. I don't know if it was COVID-related or bad weather-related, but that game ended up being postponed and rescheduled for December 12th. So LSU already has to make up a game. So if this game this weekend gets postponed or canceled, I could see a situation where the SEC moves the game to December 19th. Now, December 19th is originally right now scheduled for the SEC championship game. But if this game happens to be postponed, I can see the conference taking the Alabama-LSU game, pushing it to December 19th, which will push the SEC title game back to December 26th. And I know it's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of rigmarole. It's a lot of commotion. It's a lot of why do we have to do this? But this is what happens when COVID interferes with things and it throws a change up or it throws a curveball into the midst of the conversation. You have to kind of think on your feet and figure out, okay, what's the best way, best case scenario to go about doing this to where we can have all the football games, we can structure it where you can still have the conference championship games and still put together some time to prepare for the college football playoff as well. So if the game just so happens to be postponed, I can see a situation where the SEC would take the Alabama-LSU game, move it to December 19th, which would then push the SEC title game to December 26th. And then from there, we can discover, okay, how would we put together, or how would the College Football Playoff Committee, as I should say, put together, how do you divvy out the practice schedule for the college football playoff and the days and venues and times for that whole situation to be at. So right now, Edo spoke on, hey, we got a little COVID outbreak going on over here at LSU due to a Halloween party that apparently nobody had a mask on for, nobody socially distanced for, and bunch of players contracted the virus. LSU thin at the quarterback position, thin in the defensive secondary. Now, in the event that Alabama-LSU is to play this game, you're looking at a bunch of problems for the Tigers. The first problem being it's not going to have Miles Brennan at quarterback. Coach O mentioned today that the junior will not go in this game and probably will be held out for the remainder of the season. Brennan dealt with some abdomen issues in the last couple of weeks, and he's kind of been struggling to be able to push and move around and maneuver with the injury during the bye week. So, Coach O holding him out for this matchup. So with that being said, you're looking at two true freshmen. Either it goes with TJ Finley or it goes with Max Johnson. Either or, when you're playing a freshman quarterback against an Alabama team that is already ticked off from what happened to it last year after the game, and you're throwing that freshman quarterback in the teeth of this Alabama defense that's coming off the last 3 games, giving up just 13.67 points per game, including a shutout, complete game shutout of Mississippi State. It's like throwing a scrap of meat to a wild pit bull. That scrap of meat gonna get ate up by that pit bull with no hot sauce. Don't matter, that meat getting ate up. So you're looking at throwing a freshman quarterback into the teeth of his Alabama defense. If you play this game, that freshman quarterback, whether it's TJ Finley or Max Johnson, going to be tested, going to get hit, going to get pressure, possibly, at this point, more than likely, definitely going to get ate up here, where this is concerned. But for Coach Orgeron, with the situation they've got brewing down there at Louisiana State University, will this game be played? Everybody hopeful that this game will be played. Everybody, in prayer that this game will be played, because as fans, you want to see this game. The players want to see this game. They've been ready for this since thinking about what happened last year. I mean, everybody's got their mind locked into this matchup. Coach Saban even talked about it, the discipline that needs to be shown, the toughness, the attention to details, everything that needs to be shown here for this matchup. But we shall see what happens. We take our first break here on the show, but upon our return, we get to your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your text, your super chats, your ideas, even your events. We'll talk Bama football with you guys, the fans, right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
We are back in, folks, from the break on a Monday. Hottest show of the streets. Number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. LSU week, ladies and gentlemen. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Be sure to like the show up. Give a thumbs up on the show. Hit that subscribe button. Turn all of those notifications on so that way we can continue getting you the best in news, notes, and coverage here on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. But before we get into the phone lines here, the call segment, brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, the family that is the Blue Wrench Gang. Got some super chats to shout out right now. And first and foremost, how about Roll Tide and Rise Up? Roll Tide and Rise Up, throwing in that $10 there via the super chats. Appreciate that donation from Roll Tide. and rise up. And then we got Bernard Phillips. Bernard Phillips, that $5 with the super chat, so appreciate the love there from Roll Tide and Rise Up, and one Bernard Phillips. But 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. We take our first call of the night. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's going on, Steven?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I mean, we got Ed Ogeron at LSU saying that they got COVID going on. People at a Halloween party and did not want to socially distance.
Don't believe the hype, Steven. Listen, I'm here in Baton Rouge. I'm the number one Alabama fan here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I have a question to ask.
Go
On
ahead.
September 20th, didn't Coach Ed Ogeron say that the whole team, pretty much the whole team, had tested positive for COVID? It has not been 2.5 months since, and you mean to tell me the whole team has caught COVID again? That's impossible. They do not want to play Bama. They do not want to play Bama. So the whole team has been reinfected with COVID after they just had it on September 20th. Something's not adding up, Stephen.
I mean, Byron Young, the Alabama defensive end, saying, don't run now. You got former players going to LSU. If you're scared, just admit you're scared. I mean, this right here is something really interesting because, once again, Alabama players and Coach Saban, they have been thinking about this matchup since what happened last year, and not necessarily the game, but the extra activities after the game.
Exactly. And this is what I'm saying. There is no way possible for those players to have been reinfected with COVID after they were infected, pretty much the whole team, on September 20th. This is a ploy. Coach Ogeron has lost total control of his program, and they are not in a position to play Bama. They are on their third-string quarterback. They don't want Bama to run the score up on them, and this is just a ploy and a plot to get excused from this game. I also heard, my last point, on the radio this afternoon, they're saying that if this game is not played, then it's going to be a wash between both teams as a cancellation, and it won't count as a loss to either team. This is bull crap.
Oh my goodness! Oh my! Wow! So this is interesting right here. I mean, LSU, the fear is real. The fear is real in terms of LSU for this football game. But my man, we appreciate the call, man. Keep listening to us.
I will, man. Thank you for all you do, brother. Have
Absolutely.
a good day.
The fear is real in Baton Rouge. Wow. We're taking another call right now. You are live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's going on, Steven? It's your boy, Senator Hines, man.
There's the pimp. There's the pimp.
What's good, my brother?
Doing good, man. So we just had the first call saying that what Ed O is trying to do, it's a front because LSU don't really want to face Alabama right now.
And I could partially agree with my guy, but at the same time, I won't say it's impossible for those guys to test positive again after they've tested after a little bit over a month, not even over a month. They tested positive, so. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I do think that Coach O and whoever's the head administration of that program need to get a tighter grip on what their players are doing. I find it amazing that teams like Alabama and Florida and Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Auburn, very few positive tests have been reported. Florida was the one with the most cases, but you see they quarantined and got guys back healthy. They were down a few guys last week and still were able to, maintain the proper protocol and initiate things to get those guys back healthy. And at the end of the day, we just, football aside, we just pray that all personnel who are infected come through, on the positive side of this thing, because COVID's nothing to play with. But I honestly think Ed O is in over his head as far as being the head coach for LSU. I think they kind of got him there, buying them time to see when the next big name is going to open up and bring those guys back to a competitive state. He got lucky and got handed a once-in-a-lifetime roster kind of like what Kirby did when he got over to Georgia in his second year. With Jake Fromm coming in as a true freshman, being able to play Jacob Eason, and they had a nice stable of athletes surrounding him. So, yeah, I think he's in a little bit over his head, man, and it's the pressure's starting to rise up on him. So, but I did want to ask you one thing, Steven. I see Trey Sanders is out, prayers up to Trey. These two freshman running backs, Chase McClellan, and I want to say the other guy's, what's the guy's name?
Roydell Williams.
Roydell Williams, yes. So I'm hearing we were already hyped up about these guys, getting those carries in the late fourth quarter, mop up duty coming into the season, and things kind of got sidetracked with COVID, trying to get guys meaningful reps. I really think we have enough athletes, just like we replaced Waddle. Trey hasn't been that much of a key personnel in the offense, but he has played some good spell downs. I think these two freshmen, have been getting some good reps in practice, playing against first team D, running scout offense. Usually Alabama are fourth and fifth, fourth back all the way down. They run heavy first scout team reps. So I think this is going to be an exciting time, especially going against a weak LSU defense. Just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, man. How you feel about those guys stepping in and trying to make a name for themselves over the next coming weeks?
I like both guys. I think Chase McClellan is more of the home run hitter type of back. I look at Roydell Williams. He's more of the complete package between the tackles, tough guy, can bounce it outside, can catch the ball at the backfield. So he's more of a complete guy, actually a really good pass blocker as well. So I think both guys bring something. Both guys bring a lot. Mac Jones and Nick Saban really like both guys. I hate the fact that Trey got hurt because he was finally starting to put the foot injury behind him, and now this happened. So definitely prayers to that young man for a strong recovery. But I like both freshmen. I want to see what both guys can put on the field behind a first-team offensive line. Should be fun. But we appreciate the call, Senator, man. You take care.
Real quick, what y'all got planned for your TDA fans for this SEC championship game, man? Y'all got to organize something for us. We trying to get together and practice our social distancing, of course, but we got to get together and watch this game in person. It's going to be a big year for us, man.
I will have something. I got something in my mind right now, but once I get it jotted down, I will pass the word on.
All right, big bros. Take care, man. Roll Tide, roll. Shout out to everybody in the chat. TDA the best. Y'all be easy, man. Much love.
Appreciate the love that coming from one Senator Hines calling us here on a Monday. Got a super chat to shout out right now. How about Willie351? Willie351 with all threes here, $3.33. That $3.33 into the super chats. Appreciate that from Willie351. Quick topic here before we go to break, and it goes to one Mac Jones, Alabama quarterback Mac Jones. According to one Roman Harper, former Alabama safety Roman Harper, who played from 2002 to 2005. He was a Super Bowl champion for the New Orleans Saints. He is in the New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame, but he's now the latest member of the ESPN family, part of the SEC Nation crew of SEC Network. And on last week, Harper named Mac Jones as his biggest surprise to the conference this season, and Jones has surprised a lot of people. Not many people felt like he would be putting up the numbers that he's doing. Completing 78.5% of his throws, 2,196 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 2 picks, averaging 366 pass yards per game. Got a passer rating of 210.32. Got a total QBR of 95.5. Not a lot of people felt like, Jones would put up these types of numbers. So doing a fantastic job this season. And much like, Roman Harper, a lot of people are surprised right now. A lot of people would look at Mac as the biggest shock positively where the SEC is concerned. But we take another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We get back. We got Carter Power coming on. Carter Power to talk LSU when we get back.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, Alabama fans, we are back in from the break on the number one form, number one ticket for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday LSU week. Appreciate everybody for tuning into the night show. And we're going to go to the In My Own Words hotline right now, where we pick up a good friend of mine. Met this brother right here at SEC Media Days few years back prior to COVID. Funny guy, entertaining guy, covers the LSU Tigers. It is Carter Bryant, better known as Carter the Power on Twitter. He's got his own YouTube show there, the Power Hour LSU with Carter Bryant. Carter, man, what's going on, man?
Everything's good, man. Obviously not looking too good for this Saturday in the matchup. And you know what? I've had so many people come on my LSU channel and say, oh, my God, you LSU Tigers are scared to play Alabama. And there's some truth to that. A lot of people are very, very worried about what would happen on Saturday. But obviously, Stephen, we don't even know if we're going to even have a game. So we'll see what happens.
And what's crazy is right now, Carter, is, last year – Ed Ogeron got a roster that was just once-in-a-lifetime roster. You had the quarterback in Burrow. You had a plethora of receivers. You had a really good back in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You had two really good coaches in Joe Brady and Dave Arandas, the defensive coordinator. So you were able to push the maximum out of that, to a national championship. And now this year, you're starting the season off at 2-3. I mean, what's kind of the vibe in Baton Rouge just on Ed Ogeron for right now? Have the people kind of turned against Coach O?
No, heavens no. I mean, there's people that have doubt about where LSU football is going, but, you cover recruiting. You saw they had a big recruiting win getting Sage Ryan to stay at home. So, obviously, LSU still has a top 5 recruiting class for right now, and that doesn't look like it's going to change. And they have a lot of good young freshmen that have played really well. But, you were talking about, like, the perfect season that LSU had. And I've heard so many Bama fans just get, LSU winning for the first time since 2010 since 2011, going up against Alabama. I honestly thought that from Nick Saban's perspective, from an Alabama's perspective, what happened to LSU last year was actually a very good thing for Alabama because, whenever you look at all the Alabama national championship teams that Nick Saban won, none of those teams could really challenge last year's LSU team as the best team we've ever seen in the SEC. So the good thing is that if you're an Alabama fan, Nick Saban, he's still looking for that perfect team. What LSU did last year obviously sticks in the back of his mind, and I think that's going to make Nick Saban work even harder because this is a guy that's accomplished everything you could possibly accomplish as a head coach, except greatest team of all time. So Nick Saban is looking for that, obviously not this year, but that 15-0 perfect roster, and I think that's a good thing if you're an Alabama fan.
If you're just tuning into the show, we got Carter Bryant, better known as Carter the Power, covering LSU football right now on the show, In My Own Words, with yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. Got him on the line right now. So, Carter, if this game is to be played, if we have this game this weekend, Coach O has already talked about no Miles Brennan in this game. The junior will not play, could possibly miss the remainder of the season. I know he's been dealing with some abdomen issues. So if you don't have, if LSU does not have Miles Brennan, with not having Miles Brennan, you got two freshmen in TJ Finley and Max Johnson. Talk about both of those two and kind of what each one of those guys bring.
Well, Ed Orgeron said earlier today that only TJ Finley would be available for this Saturday. And I think that's who they were going to start anyway because he's been their starter the last two games. So, according to reports, it's not exactly clear. I'm not so sure with everything that's going on right now, with the outbreak that LSU is dealing with, if Max Johnson would even be available. Heck, as of right now, Stephen, there's no tight ends available for LSU. There's no long snappers available. The defensive back room got hit pretty hard. But, to answer your question more specifically, TJ Finley is a very capable quarterback, 6'7". Ironically, only a 3-star coming out of Ponchatoula, lit up South Carolina, but made two big mistakes against Auburn in the first half, and that's how that game got out of reach. But outside of those two horrible turnovers, TJ Finley's looked pretty good. Now, is he as good as Young, your backup, 5-star, true freshman backup? No, he's not that level of player, but he's still a very capable starting quarterback. But here's the thing, Stephen. As much as I love TJ Finley and as much as I love talking Alabama's offense, my favorite matchup, if it actually does happen this weekend, would be Devonta Smith going up against Derek Stingley Jr. last year. And, the tape basically speaks for itself. Devonta Smith lit Derek Stingley Jr. up, who was the best cornerback in all of college football. And it reminds me of those Julio Jones and Patrick Peterson breakdowns and those matchups that those two guys had during their time. So, and I'm actually doing a film study on my YouTube channel, Power Hour LSU, about the famous Julio Jones versus Patrick Peterson. And the funny thing about it was Devonta Smith really dominated last year. So more than anything, I would love to see that matchup again and see if Derek Stingley Jr. can actually lock him down this time around.
That's gonna be a very enticing matchup between Smith and Stingley. Both guys really, really incredibly fierce competitors. Now, Coach Saban spoke today, Carter, about Eric Gilbert, the 5-star tight end that's at LSU right now, and the matchup nightmare that he presents now in the SEC. Arguably the best tight end in the conference right now is Kyle Pitts out of Florida. I mean, people can argue with the way they want to, but Kyle Pitts is a real dude. That guy's going to get drafted, first round, probably the first tight end to be taken off the board. But when you watch Eric Gilbert, what type of a matchup nightmare does he create for opposing defenses with his size, his hands, and most importantly, his ability to catch the football?
So once again, leading up into this matchup, I hope he's available. I hope we have a game, but that's still up in the air. However, just to point Eric out, just an incredible freak athlete, like you said, the first ever Gatorade Athlete of the Year at the tight end position, the highest rated tight end. And I know a lot of people, watch recruiting and whatnot. He's the highest rated tight end in the history of the sport of football. So, 4.5 speed. The one thing that I've really liked though is, his blocking has gotten a lot better. That's what, made some of these great Alabama tight ends so great, whether it be Irv Smith or anyone like that. Those guys could block, and Eric Gilbert is starting to show that he's ferocious in the blocking game. So if he is available, I'd like to see LSU split him out a little bit more. He had one big game against Missouri, but since then, it's been a little quiet. I think that has more to do with scheme than it actually does him not getting targets. So we'll see what happens on Saturday.
You're just tuning into the show, ladies and gentlemen. We got Carter Bryant, a.k.a. Carter the Power, on right now, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, the Bryant covering the LSU Tigers. So, Carter, if we have this matchup, and hopefully, prayerfully, we do have this matchup, aside from Devonta Smith, Derek Stingley, how can LSU keep this game within striking distance as much as humanly possible? What does LSU have to do to keep this game within striking distance or keep it as close as possible?
Well, one thing that definitely helps them out is the bye week, them being able to reset and then getting this game at home. With that said, I really don't know what they can do, Steven. I mean, they're thin. They barely have over 60 scholarship players, and as a lot of your audience knows, you normally have no less than 80. You can have up to 85 scholarship players. There have been all kinds of opt-outs. So every last bit of disaster that has happened to LSU, whether it be off the field or on the field, has actually happened. Bo Pelini's been a pretty disastrous defensive coordinator hire. I know Nick Saban, all his coordinators haven't been home run hires. I'll tell you this, he's not made one nearly as bad as Bo Pelini's been. He's been by far the worst defensive coordinator in the SEC. There is no close second. So, LSU just can't even keep contained. They can barely make tackles when they're right in front of them. I'm dead serious. When I watch LSU play, as much of an LSU fan as I am, I hate seeing the basic fundamental things that they're not able to do, which is obviously the exact opposite of LSU last year. They did all the little things right. So there's nothing LSU could really do that has proven to me that they could keep this game close. Obviously, LSU-Bama has been very one-sided. I don't see how it wouldn't be even more one-sided than it already is, Steven. I just don't know. I don't know which way LSU could even pry open this Alabama offense or even defense. I think both sides of the ball has been a big issue. So, yeah, I know you had an LSU guest on, and I think you were expecting me to give you something that could tell you that LSU could compete in this game. Do they have the talent? Is it beyond the realm of possibility that LSU just plays a perfect game and keeps it close? Yeah, that possibility is always out there. But, Steven, we've not even seen them do the basic things right, even in their wins this year. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, I do see Bama as a 3-touchdown favorite, and that being a pretty fair score line.
He's Carter Bryant, folks. Carter Bryant, keeping it real. Carter Bryant, better known as Carter the Power, covering LSU football. He's got a YouTube show there, the Power Hour, for Power Hour LSU with Carter Bryant, Carter the Power. Carter, appreciate you, my man, for coming on, for taking time out of your day to talk LSU football at Ogeron and what could be on the slate for this weekend in terms of the Tigers, should we have this game. You be safe, my man. Take care. Be good out there.
Yeah, man, and I highly recommend, trust me, I actually have already done it. I highly recommend people go to my channel later this week to see this Julio Jones versus Patrick Peterson thing. I mean, a lot of you Bama fans would get goosebumps going back to that matchup, and knowing that both of them are going to be Hall of Fame players makes it even better now. But, Steven, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. That was Carter Bryant, better known as Carter the Power, on Twitter, covering LSU football, talking some Tigers with us as we're getting set for this Alabama-LSU matchup this weekend. Man, I hope they keep this game. I've already got the car filled up with gas. I'm ready to go to Baton Rouge right now, and please let them keep this game this week. When we take a break here on the show, upon our return, we get back to you guys, the phone lines, to get your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your questions, your concerns right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace. You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, folks, we are back in from the break on the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Be sure to like the show up, give a thumbs up on the show, hit that like button, turn on all of those notifications so that way you can have the best in alerts, updates, and coverage, and also conversation on your Crimson Tide. But it's back on you, Tide Nation. 205-448-1358. And I'm going to call in to let your voice be heard on the show on a Monday, LSU week. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. The call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, the family that is the Blue Wrench Gang. But as you're getting your thoughts together right now, how about one Tua Tagovailoa, former Alabama quarterback, got his second start against the Arizona Cardinals for the Miami Dolphins, and Tua got Kyler Murray again in the first matchup. Both guys were in college, Tua at Alabama, Kyler Murray at Oklahoma. This was the 2018 college football playoff semifinal, the Orange Bowl at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, and Alabama got the 45-34 win there. And then Tua on Sunday night, 34-31, got the win over Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. And Tua looked fantastic. Tua looked good. Dolphin fans left the stadium on the West Coast going, we got the right quarterback. We picked the right guy in the draft. We made the right move in the NFL draft with the number 5 overall pick. If I'm Brian Flores and the rest of the Dolphins front office, my main objective now is draft more talent around Tua. The next 5 to 7 years, draft receivers, draft running backs, draft tight ends, draft offensive linemen, draft more talent around Tua, because the young man's got it. I mean, I've seen all these other talking heads speak on, well, Tua doesn't have wiggle. I don't know what the crap wiggle is. I guess it's athletic ability or whatever, but Tua had wiggle yesterday. Tua, 6 carries for 36 yards rushing. He even had a play in the game that resembled what he did in the national championship game against Georgia as a freshman in the 2018 title game off a 17 season. If you remember, Tua is running the ball toward the right. He gets hit. He spins off a guy. He comes back around to the left, picked up a first down. That's wiggle right there. Even pre-injury, Tua had a lot of that mobility. But to see him run well in this matchup, he looks even faster. And then the throwing ability of Tua, but my goodness, deadly, insane accurate. 20 of 28 passing, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns. 11 of Tua's 20 completions went for either first downs or scores. And then, you want to talk about comeback magic? Remember, national championship game, as much as people love Jalen Hurts, and we do, Nick Saban went with Tua in the second half. Tua down by 13, comes off the bench, bang, bang, boom, 3 touchdowns. You get the win in overtime, 26-23. The big play on 2nd and 26, the 41-yard rainbow from Tua to Devontae Smith. And then last night, the magic happened again, this time on the NFL level. The Cardinals were up 31-24 in the third quarter. Tua took the team on a 93-yard drive, which lasted 10 plays. He had completions to Devontae Parker, among other receivers, and he found Mac Hollins for the touchdown to tie the game. And then he had one more final drive to set up a 50-yard field goal. The Dolphins nailed that to win 34-31. Kyler Murray's good. Kyler Murray's fun to watch. People are saying that Murray's the next Russell Wilson, but Tua, Tua right there. Tua, no joke. Tua, none to play with. All of these folks saying, well, Tua did not impress me against the Rams, and I just had this epiphany that maybe Tua's not all that good. Calm down. That was one game against one of the best defensive fronts in the NFL, against Aaron Donald, for crying out loud, of the Rams. Tua comes back against the Cardinals. Good performance. Great football game. Led his team to a win. The Dolphins are now winners of 4 straight. They're now 5-3 on the year. 2 of those wins come from Tua Tagovailoa as the starter. And how cool is this? Tua got the stamp of approval from his brother, Taulia Tagovailoa, on Twitter saying, hey, Tua, man, that's the dude right there. So it is awesome when your brother gives you that stamp of approval. So that's really, really cool right there. But we got some super chats to shout out right now. A couple of them, both coming from one Senator Hines. Senator dropping in that $5 with the super chats, and then another $5 in the super chats. Both of those from the man, Senator Hines. But we go to a call right now in the queue. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, I just want a quick question. Who do you think the next Southern Miss football coach will be?
Well, say that one more time. Couldn't hear that.
Who do you think the next Southern Miss football coach will be?
The next Southern Miss football coach? Not sure, man. Not sure. I would like to see Hugh Freeze get a call. He's doing a great job at Liberty right now, so I would love to see Hugh Freeze get a call, but not quite sure off the top of my head, man.
All right, I'm thinking Rhett Lashley, the Miami OC.
Rhett Lashley would be good. I mean, Rhett Lashley would be very nice for that program.
For taking my call.
Absolutely. Got a question about Southern Miss. I mean, Rhett Lashley would be cool. I wouldn't mind seeing what's his face, Hugh Freeze get a shot. We take another call right now on the show. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's going on, Steve? It's Demetrius from North Carolina.
Demetrius, what's happening with you?
Man, I can't kill nothing, won't nothing die, man. I'm just waiting for this. I'm waiting for this heavyweight match to come on Saturday. I ain't want to hear no excuses. I don't care if they had. I don't care what kind of COVID, Ebola virus, Zika virus, bird flu, swine flu. Let's get it on. All that battleship mouth done got their tugboat boat in some trouble down there in Baton Rouge. Hey, cut out all that. Bring them on the field. If you that good of a coach, you can make up for it.
Right.
Coach O that good, put them out there. I ain't want to hear it.
There it is.
We all heard the insults. Bleep Alabama, so here's your chance to bleep them again. Make it happen.
There it is, folks. Right there, coming from Demetrius from North Carolina.
Coach Saban took a backup quarterback, won a championship, 2nd and 26. So I ain't want to hear it. Put him on the field.
Put him on the field. That's coming. Say it again.
I said, don't try to salvage your season by this beatdown you know that's coming. Put him on the field.
I hear you. Hey, Demetrius, appreciate the fire, man. Hey, thanks for the call.
All right, you be good.
Absolutely. Put him on the field, says Demetrius from North Carolina. So, hey, there you go right there. We take another break here on the show. Appreciating you guys checking us out on today. But when we come back, we will update the status of one Trey Sanders, Alabama running back, and who has to step up in his absence. We talk Trey Sanders to wrap things up right after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
We are back in, folks, back in from the break on the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciating everybody tuning into the show on a Monday. LSU week right here. Crimson Tide scheduled to take on the Tigers on Saturday. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Tiger Stadium. CBS will have the call 5 p.m. Central Time kickoff. Hopefully we can definitely have this football game. I know Coach Ogeron mentioned that the Tigers have a little COVID outbreak, but hopefully we can have this football game because this is one I am definitely looking forward to covering and catching. But before we get to the final topic of conversation, got to remind you guys, TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. Let us be your plug for all of your Alabama football shopping. If you want the I Love Hearing Touchdown Alabama shirts, the We Want Football shirts, Let Them Play shirts, hoodies of all kind, do your shopping right here, TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com, supporting Coach Saban, the student athletes, the Alabama Crimson Tide, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But updating you on the status of Trey Sanders, redshirt freshman running back Trey Sanders, former 5-star from Port St. Joe, Florida, went to IMG Academy. We all heard the news to end last week. On the bye week, he was involved in a car accident. It was he and his brother, Trey Sanders, in the passenger seat, his brother driving the car. The accident took place an hour away from their home. So, of course, once the accident happened, Coach Saban talked about how it was no life-threatening injuries. Sanders was immediately taken to a nearby hospital, treated for those injuries. He did have to undergo surgery, and according to Coach Saban, Trey Sanders is out indefinitely, will miss the remainder of the 2020 campaign. He talked about it. Sanders is okay, but the injuries he endured, some pretty serious stuff there. So the team hurt by this. Definitely Coach Saban hurt by this, but Sanders will miss the remainder of the season. And what is painful about it is this is a young man that was just getting over one setback, having the foot injury in August camp of last year, and he finally was back healthy. He played very well against Mississippi State, got his opportunity, had 12 carries for 80 yards, including a couple of really nice long runs, and he got up excited, he got up energetic, motivated, pumped up, and Coach Saban talked about how Sanders was one of those guys that this team was looking to have an increased role and get more playing time and get more opportunities. And, he was excited about that. And now with this happening, here's another hurdle that the young man has to jump over and has to battle back strong from. So definitely continue with our prayers to Sanders and his family. But so with Trey Sanders out, and this was a reason why I would have loved to have seen Keelan Robinson stay or not opt out of this season. Robinson opted out early on before the season started due to COVID concerns, and here's a reason: if he would have stayed on campus here, he would have gotten this chance to really make an impact this season. The young man has a lot to get up and go, a lot of juice, a lot of ability. But with Keelan, of course, opted out in the injury to Trey Sanders, we're looking at two freshmen, Roydell Williams and Jace McClellan. A big opportunity for two true freshmen, Roydell Williams and Jace McClellan. And both guys offer a little something different here. In the running back room, Coach Saban loves both guys. Mac Jones likes both guys. The offensive team likes both guys. And McClellan, more of the home run guy, young man from Aldo, Texas, a guy that's got a lot of speed, big burst, big playmaking ability in open field, can catch the ball at the backfield, big-time gear does Jace McClellan have. And he's kind of, a lot of people will say he's kind of that Kenyon Drake home run type guy, home run type hitting type of bag. So that's Jace McClellan. When you look at Roydell Williams out of Hueytown High School here in Alabama, a complete package guy. Bill, he's 5'10", 210 to 15 pounds now, but he's cut up. A guy that can bounce plays outside. Very physical, strong in between the tackles. Can catch the ball at the backfield. Really good speed. Really good pass blocker. And that's something that not a lot of freshmen have at the running back position, is that ability to be a pass blocker right out of the gate. But Williams does that. I remember talking to his trainer, Leonard Stevens, of step-by-step performance training in Birmingham, and Coach Stevens was talking to me about how, Roydell has that Adrian Peterson type mindset, that AP type of vibe, that he's tough, he's hard-nosed, he wants to run guys over, he wants to make plays, he's kind of a bowling ball. And to me, Roydell kind of fits that Josh Jacobs persona, that Josh Jacobs personality right there. You run with a lot to prove. You run like your life depended on it. That's Roydell Williams to me. He was the guy that when the cameras were on him during his commencement ceremony at Hueytown High School, he was the one that said, yeah, Alabama did not make the college football playoff in 2019, but that's all going to change because I'm coming to the program now. So he already had that determination, that confidence in himself when he made that statement. So you got two freshmen in McClellan and Williams that are going to have a chance to get on the field and show what they can do more so offensively, and picking up the slack from the injury from the car accident that was Trey Sanders. Prayers out definitely to him and his family as he recovers there. But along with those two, Alabama's got Brian Robinson, and B-Rob has made some improvements here this season in terms of the running game. He's been a bit banged up, but he's made some improvements. But Najee Harris, there are some comparisons that are good comparisons. There are some that make you scratch your head. But this one right here, Najee Harris at this point is having the same situation that happened with Derrick Henry in 2015, believe it or not. 2015, Derrick Henry had to carry the load because, Kenyon Drake had the broken leg the year prior in 2014 against Ole Miss. You really didn't know how good Drake would be in his return. Now, he ended up being fine, but you did not know at the start of it how good he would be coming back from the mishap. Alabama had signed two running backs in the 2015 class, in Bo Scarborough and Damian Harris. Scarborough was suspended the first 4 games due to academic reasons. Damian Harris was not quite ready to make an impact just yet. So Derrick Henry was like, if I have to carry it, I can carry it. Let me do it. Let me carry the team. So right now, when you look at Najee Harris, Alabama lost Jerome Ford to a transfer. He's now at Cincinnati. It lost Keelan Robinson to an opt-out. Now here comes the injury to Trey Sanders. And then you got a banged up Brian Robinson. Here's a situation for Najee Harris where he can say, if you want me to carry the load, if you need me to carry the load, I can have that impact. I can do it. Let me do it. If you want to have me carry the load for this team, I can do it. So here's a situation where the story of Derrick Henry and the story of Najee Harris are kind of going parallel to each other a bit here. They're kind of starting to intersect each other a little bit here where that is concerned in terms of the injuries and Najee having the chance to do even more here with this team. But that's just my thoughts on that. But if you want the best news, notes, information, and coverage on your Crimson Tide Alabama fans, this is very simple and easy to do right here. You can get this coverage by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can download it from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you covered on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, Overcast.fm, TuneIn Radio, and iHeartRadio. Got you covered right there. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Be sure to note this, Bama fans. You can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. Also, be sure to get your 4-finger bling necklace. Cop that 4-finger bling jewelry courtesy of WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That's WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That link will be in the description as well. But till next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, school is in. Still do those things. Do those things legitimately now to not be bored. Get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself. Protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, spend in my own words.